So, hi guys, welcome to the podcast. Today I've got someone that I actually saw through their company's page. I actually came across his company on Instagram. For those that don't know who I am, I basically own a digital marketing agency, which at times gets me to I don't want to say it gets me a privilege to see some things, but it actually does. So I actually came across Chad, So guys, with me right now I have Chad. Hi Chad, how's it going, man?
Oh yeah, not too bad. Nice to see you. Nice to
Correctly.
Is your name? Well, it's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, man, for joining me. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. I appreciate that. I really try to bring as much people, as much as possible, in terms of entrepreneurs, that can actually come to the podcast and share their journey with the audience.
Mhm.
So thank you, man. Thank you very much.
No, it's been a pleasure myself.
Yeah, yeah. So with me, guys, yeah, as I've mentioned, I have Chad. So Chad, could you please tell us more about who Chad is? Could you please tell us more about your background?
Yep,
Um,
yep,
yeah.
no problem. So, I actually came from South Africa in 2006. My parents they moved over here and they tried to get me into school and stuff. I ended up, yeah, I was about 10 years old when I moved over. I finished school in 2011. I got very bad grades, very bad grades. Didn't really have much. I didn't really take in a lot of the education. I was more of a hands-on type of guy, so it was very
Yeah.
stressful in the education environment. So I wanted to,
Mhm.
when I got out of school, I just wanted to get working straight away. So I ended up started roofing in 2011 as well. I was doing a couple of jobs for friends here and there, and eventually I started working for a company, and they could barely give me any sort of hours, any concrete hours to work from, and obviously I needed the money to support myself, so I ended up becoming a chef as well. So I was working in the chefing industry. I worked myself up to a sous chef level and then a head chef level, and I kind of left the roofing to the side. But every now and again, I'll go and I'll help my friends on the weekends and stuff like that. And then I realized, cooking and chefing, it was very hard in that respect, trying to keep on top of all the orders and all the food and all the preparation and all of that type of stuff. I found that I never really had a lot of time to myself or any time to sort of socialize. Really,
Okay.
it's quite a it's quite a hard sort of job. I'm working all the unsociable hours. So I work the weekends, the Christmases, the Easters, and all of that. So I just sort of decided, right, I'm gonna take on roofing full time, and yeah, from 13 years ago till now, I haven't stopped. I haven't looked back. I kind of just went through the motions of roofing, learned the trade, learned all the specifications and the regulations that the government provides, and yeah, I ended up just starting on my own. Eventually, it was a big dive. Not gonna
Okay.
lie, it was very hard to go from working for a company to starting my own company. So we
Yeah.
started about 4 years ago, and yeah, I haven't looked back since. I mean, everything's been really well. I'm seeing the graphs going up, so we're making a lot of money. We're doing better than our last years, and
Okay.
yeah.
Which is actually the best part about it, when you see the rewards of your work, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also I heard that you were saying that you moved from Cape Town when you were 10 years old. I mean from South Africa when you were 10 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
Okay. So since then you've been in the UK.
Yeah.
That. Oh, so it's okay. Okay. Now I understand. Because you remember we were just speaking together right now,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of that. So now
Mm-hmm.
I actually get it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Thank you very much, man, for sharing your background with us.
Yep.
As I'm even saying to you right now, I actually get it. And
Mm-hmm.
and and also to the part that you were saying that you went to school, right? And
Mhm.
you weren't getting good grades, right? You weren't that person that um was fond of school, right? In a
No,
way that I
yeah,
could, yeah. Yeah. So
yeah. I hated education. Um, I couldn't sit still in class. I'm always tapping away. I'm always thinking about the outside world, and you know, it was just very hard to sit there and get my good grades. It was hard to
yeah.
put my head to the paper. You know, it didn't click. So I got very very bad grades for it. I mean, I passed a couple of subjects.
Okay.
I passed in art, and I passed in ICT, so information technology,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it sort of helped with the business from that respect because I learned how to build websites and I learned how to sort of I don't know, just access a computer, you know,
Yeah.
work around a
I know.
computer, work in Microsoft Word, Excel,
Okay.
all of that type of stuff.
So would you then say, first of all, let me just ask this.
Mhm.
At what grade did you actually did you finish school, or did you just um you didn't finish it?
I finished. I finished. Like I said, I got my grades, but they were very bad. So
Oh, okay. Okay. No.
I managed to do the exams, and I just got Fs. I got very very bad grades.
Oh, okay. So you finished school, then you went into roofing, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So how did you actually get how did you come across the roofing industry? Just to, yeah.
Yeah, I had some friends. So a lot of my friends were doing the same sort of thing, and uh, there was quite a few roofing companies going around in Horsham where I was living,
Okay.
and yeah, they just needed some hands on, some guy that can sort of carry all the tiles and do all the laboursome sort of work, and I was happy to do it. Put my hand up, and yeah, they took me on.
And at that age, how old were you?
I was 16, 16,
16.
17.
Okay. And and
Mm-hmm.
and how was it getting paid at that age?
It was stressful, very stressful. Because I don't know if you have it in your country, but in our country, you get minimum wage, and when you're a kid, when you're very young, you only get apprenticeship wage. So it was very hard. It was only about £400 um,
Oh, okay.
a week. Sorry, a month. So only £100 a month. And I mean, it's very little. I don't know what the conversion
Mm.
is to the to the rand. I think it's 20. I think it's £1 to 23 rand. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't got my calculator.
Also, but I'm guessing it must be around 6,000 to 10,000 rands. It's
Mm-hmm.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
On my side, it's too it's a huge amount to actually have at that age. You know,
Oh wow.
but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so but at that specific age, you were let's say you were getting about 400 um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a month. So, and when you're saying that maybe it was too much, you, um,
My
was it?
country is my country is very small. There's very little. I mean, for renting I don't know, even a one bedroom somewhere is like 400, five
Yeah,
hundred pounds, you know. So all of my money would have just gone anyway. So it wasn't a lot of money back then. It's not a lot of money now, you
even
know.
now, yeah. Okay, so basically, you had to. Did you move out at that age, or were you still at home?
Yeah, I was still at home because I couldn't afford anything else. I couldn't afford to move out. So
Oh,
that's why I said I started being a chef. So I needed the extra money. So when I wasn't roofing, I was cooking
also you had
and just trying to,
so you juggled
sorry,
those two things.
pretty much, yeah,
Oh, okay, and you
to
were
be able to
able,
live on my own.
and then you were able to.
And then I was able, yeah, I moved into a room to rent. So I started renting a room, and then eventually I got a little place to myself. That was when I was about 18, 19 years old, and yeah, I just kind of had to sort of choose which one to keep, you know, because the roofing, I ended up getting more money because I was getting older and I was getting
Yeah.
better at what I was doing. So
Oh, okay.
I I sort of had to sort of work out, do I want to be a chef or do I want to be a roofer? And I, you know, it's kind of like my dad said. He said, if you love what you do, you'd never work a day in your life. So
Mm-hmm.
I hated to be a chef. I didn't want to be a chef. So and roofing, I love it. I'm on the roof. I get clear skies most days. I get
Yeah.
to just get on with my work. I get teas and coffees. So
Which is the best part about it, you know, that you're
exactly,
doing what you love, you know. Um,
exactly.
yeah. So at so you basically you're saying that at 21, right, or at
Mm,
18, that's when you started to move, you know, to go to your own place and stuff like that. So
mhm.
so how was that for you at that age?
It was very hard, but I liked my independence. I wanted to be independent from my parents, and I don't know. I didn't want to have to rely on anyone. So I wanted to just live my life and live my life comfortably, and that obviously meant that I had to make a lot of money. So, and I
Okay.
knew when I was being a roofer, I was making a lot more as being a chef. So,
No, okay. You know, no, normally what you would hear is that the the chef the chef industry, it has a lot of money, you know, like for instance you said that you were a head chef, you know.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most people they say that that industry has a lot of money, you know, and it
Yeah,
pays good, you know.
mm-hmm.
So having to hear you now saying that you actually had that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but still you were like, nah, I just gotta I just have to do what I love. And
Mm-hmm.
also, yeah, you know,
See,
that,
when I was a chef and when I was sort of going through the channels and I was working up from, I don't know, being like a line chef to working up to sous chef and working up to head chef, I was still getting paid around the same sort of money. I mean, it all just depends. Like the more money I was making, the more I was getting taxed. So, you know, and at the end of the day, you work it all out. And being a chef, working all those hours, I mean, I was working 12 hours a day. Sometimes, I mean, my whole month was, it was crazy one day. Like one week I worked 92 hours because they had to revamp the whole staff. And I
yeah.
just, it was just too stressful. It was a very stressful industry. I'm not knocking the industry. I think it's a very nice
Mm,
industry for the right, if you have the right restaurant and it's making a decent amount of money and they want to put a lot of money into the staff, you know, then you
okay.
can actually have a very successful sort of restaurant. But I ended up being in a very bad place where a lot of my sort of chefs, they just come in and go in. I went through about 5 different general managers, and everyone had their new ideas to the new place. And yeah, it just, I don't know, it just it wasn't for me.
Okay. That's actually interesting to actually hear that, you know. But yeah, let's just now get to the roofing part, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so when did you actually register your business? When did you get to a point where you gave it a name, you gave it a brand behind it and stuff like that?
Okay. So it was in 2020 where me and my girlfriend were sitting there at the time, and I was working I was working quite a lot of roofing jobs for my previous boss, and he
Okay.
was taking a lot of money, and I just decided that, I don't know, I reached that sort of skill level, and I had all the training, I had everything I needed, so I just
Okay.
decided to go on my own at, 2020. It was during the COVID period as well, so a lot of people were sitting at their homes, and we had a lockdown in our country where, yeah, it was quite crazy. Everyone was sitting at their homes and they didn't really have a lot else to do besides look at their property and improve their houses. So, I mean, it worked in my favor because I got a lot of
Yeah.
work right from the start. So,
You know, I was actually shooting a podcast. I think it was last week. You know, with another guy that actually owns a construction company. And what what you're actually saying right now in terms of your business actually boomed in during the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was actually saying the same thing that
Oh, really?
uh yeah, he was saying the same thing that he actually utilized the fact that people had to stay home and they had to look at their houses. Now, the more they looked at their houses, they would see that, hey, this is kind of
Yeah.
rubbish, so they had to
Yeah.
actually fix that. So
Mm-hmm.
just to get to what you are saying, that it
Mm-hmm.
it was it was a very good year for you, you know
Yeah, it
so
was. I mean, considering my first year as well, I mean, the jobs just flooded in. It was quite amazing. I didn't really spend a lot of time on advertising or anything because
mm,
all I had to do was just go on Facebook, create a Facebook page, and I created Google Business, my business with my address, and yeah, the work just flooded in from there. But I don't know when lockdown sort of ended, we we took a bit of a dive. So I had to sort of get all my resources together and have a look at where I can sort of advertise a lot more and start putting a lot more money into advertisement. But
okay.
I mean, that's probably another question for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that, just thank you also for actually mentioning that, you because some entrepreneurs, when it gets to those kinds of questions, it's where they start running, but thank you for actually being able to answer that,
No
uh
problem.
yeah. But yeah, you as I said, you mentioned that during the pandemic, everything was going good, you know, and you didn't really get to complain. And you also mentioned actually that you used Facebook, and also you went to Google to actually get your business out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now, when you started posting and all of that, was the, at that time, right? um was it, or let me just say, maybe how many posts do you think it actually took you to actually get you to that first job?
Quite a lot. It took a lot of brain work. I had to sit there and I had to realize, right, because I think there's four different types of businesses you can get in this country. So you get a sole trader, and then you get
Yeah.
a limited company, and then you also get a partnership, and then you also get a charity organization. So we started off as a sole trader,
Okay.
and the thing is about being a sole trader in this country, you pay I think it's 20% tax on all of your income that come in. So you
Mm.
have to keep moving that 20%. And we ended up having to register for VAT and everything like that. So it was a bit of stress, especially being a sole trader, because you got 20% VAT and then you got 20% as a sole trader. So 40% of all the business income that kept coming in, you
Mm.
had to kind of you could only account for that 60%, to sort of grow your business and pay yourself out of that money. But it's a lot easier to be a sole trader in this country because um, it's just easier because you can move your money around a lot better. You have free roam to everything. But we actually became a limited company in April, just gone. So it's a whole different kettle of fish. It's a whole new bunch of stress to talk about.
Okay. It's is Would you say it's way more worse than being a sole trader?
I don't know yet. I'm still in April, but I'll be honest with you, I'm taking a lot more money this April, and
Mm.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what the future to come.
Okay. Just to actually try that, um I was actually in a conversation with actually someone that handles tax related stuff, and he
Mm-hmm.
was actually and it was actually we were discussing something that's just like this, that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was actually sharing the loopholes, which I think we would have to discuss on the
Oh,
side.
nice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we'd have to discuss those on the side, you know.
See,
Uh,
like I said, Samanya, I went into the trade and I didn't really get good grades, so I never done a business course. I didn't do anything like that. So when
mm,
when we became a sole trader in 2020, we we're a bit confused about the whole thing because you don't need an accountant if you're a sole trader. So we were doing all of
Yeah.
our own accounting, we were doing all of our own books, we were doing all of our advertisement ourselves, we were doing pretty much everything,
So,
all in one little bit. So I
yeah.
try to make it a lot easier for myself by I don't know, just consolidating them all together and trying to make sure that the business can run itself in a sort of way, and I can just go out and
Yeah.
do the roofing.
Okay.
And it did work. It worked very well. But yeah, we yeah, it just got a bit hard towards the end because a lot of the tax that you had to pay, like what
Yeah.
happened was we earned over the £50,000 threshold, so I had to pay as myself because my self assessment was over 50,000, so I had to pay 40% tax. So not only was it 20% tax and 20% VAT, the tax actually went up to 40%.
Yeah.
So trying to accumulate the 40% was a bit hard for me because I ended up in a lot of debt, but it ended up working itself out.
Okay. And okay. First of all, let me just say thank you for actually sharing that. And also,
No worries.
um, yeah, and also, now that you actually mentioned that, that you actually, by what you've just said, you actually had to pay about 40% in of the income that is coming from your business, and you had to actually remain with about 60% of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly. See, so I was only taking 40% at the end of the day, and yeah, I realized like all my money was going to tax, going to the government. When I don't know, I got told that it was a bad idea. We should have gone for a limited company in the first place because I could have put the tax in the right places and all my money in the right places, so I wouldn't pay
mhm,
this amount of tax. But yeah, my last tax bill was about £23,000, and
yeah.
it's quite a lot of money compared to other businesses, small businesses around here. Like my
Mm,
sister, she owns a carpeting business, and she only paid a quarter of that in tax for the whole year, and she earns over £150,000. So
mm,
massive difference, and it's a massive tax. It's a massive tax difference in a way.
yeah. But do you have any people that are actually taking care of that in
No, we
terms
didn't.
of?
At the time, we didn't. So from 2020 till up until 2024, we didn't have an accountant or anything like that. I was doing my own books. I was submitting my own tax. And I don't recommend it. At the end of the day, we've got an accountant now, and she's fantastic. I
Yeah,
don't have to worry about any of my money. She's putting everything in the right place. I'm paying myself a
exactly.
salary now, and yeah, it's looking positive, mate. Very, very positive.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I was actually asking you that, because I was also gonna say that I think a few things that might have happened then were because, as you did mention, that you didn't actually have a business degree. You didn't know anything about business at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the gap would have been there, that's where the problems could have been, because you
Mm-hmm.
didn't know much about what you need to do when you are here and what you don't need to do when you do this, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but at least now that you're saying that you have an accountant, um
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, massive stress relief, mate. Massive. Honestly, I was always stressing about money all the time for like 3 years, and yeah, it was I don't know, it's causing a lot of stress in the business as well because trying to put that money aside and then having leftovers so you can feed your family and all of that
Yeah,
type of stuff. It's a different ball game. And now I'm paying myself a salary. I know that's how much I have to live on, and then all of this money that's coming from the business, it can all just get put in the right place.
yeah, that's good, man. That's really good. But also now, would you say that you would recommend that um other entrepreneurs, when they are at a position which they can be able to get accountants, people that can take care of their money, would you
Mm-hmm.
recommend that they should do that?
I'd recommend it right from the start, mate. Honestly, it's the thing is you don't want to do it yourself because there's unless you have um unless you're very good at maths and you have a business degree and stuff like that, I'll be honest with you, just let the accountants do it because they know exactly. They do. I mean, they deal with these sort of things all the time. You know, I mean, they have loads of clients that they've got through tax breaks and tax years and stuff like that. And it's just it's so much better for me myself on running my business because I don't have to worry about that side of things. You know, all I have to do is worry about making sure my business is marketed properly and all the work's being done to a high standard and up to regulation and everything like that. So I'd recommend it. Any sort of young entrepreneurs and stuff that think that they can do it themselves, it's probably best that they probably get an accountant right from the start, or even just someone to put them in the right direction, so they know what they're doing. Because I didn't. I was going in blind, if that makes sense. I was just trying it. I had QuickBooks and everything like that, and QuickBooks are very good. There's loads of other companies out there like Xero and stuff like that, but they don't give you all the little tricks of the trade where you can sort of save money and put money in the right place. So yeah, I'd highly recommend people getting an accountant right from the start, because they can guide you in the right direction right from the beginning, so you won't have any sort of debt in tax or anything like that, like I had to go through.
Okay. And that's and thank you for actually giving out that recommendation, you know, because
No problem.
most people, because most entrepreneurs, that is something that they suffer from, you know, not knowing how to control their money, you know, and now when you don't know how to actually control what is coming from your company, that might build or break your company at the very same time, you know.
Exactly. See.
Yeah. So and I also think that it's something that most people should do, you know. But in my case, at this point, you know, I just learned everything that I know from YouTube, and also buying courses and stuff like that, you know. Yeah. So but I would also say that if you are an entrepreneur and you have the money to actually be able to invest into an accountant or anyone that can actually help you with your books, you should definitely do that, you know.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, you just want to protect yourself, because anything can happen. You know, I had a van, and the van kept breaking down all the time, and I kept having to put loads of money into the van. And you know, I mean, it's all about forecasting what's going to happen in the future and how your money's going to come in. And you know, you can't guarantee it. There's so many uncertainties out there. But you know, we had a massive storm about 2 years ago, and the phone just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And I mean, it brought in so much business and managed to help us pay off a lot of the tax that we owed, you know. But it was a lucky break from God, you know, to give us that storm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of people needed a lot of roofing work done at that time, so it kind of saved us a bit. But I mean, if that storm didn't happen, I'd still be in a lot of debt, I think. So it's very hard to sort of forecast any of this without having I don't know, like my accountant, she told me that if I'm earning a certain amount, put your money here, put your money there. And, you know, it's a massive stress relief. I can't stress you enough that getting an accountant is probably number one. And I wish I learned from my mistakes back then, because I wouldn't have had all that much debt.
Yeah.
You know.
And so is your accountant in-house, or is another company?
It's another company.
Oh, okay.
She was actually one of my customers. I done some roofing work for her, and yeah, we got chatting, and we got to know each other. And yeah, she told me that she's an accountant. Do I need an accountant and all of that? And yeah, I took her on board. And honestly, it was shot in the dark, really. But that's another thing. You want to network with people. Networking is a very big thing, especially with other tradesmen and everything like that, because everyone to teach, like, I like to learn things nowadays. You know, back then when I was at school, I hated to learn. I just wanted to get out of school. But now I learn I learn something new every day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, in terms of networking, would you say that networking has played a role in making sure that your business is you managed to grow your business and get more jobs.
Mhm.
Would you say that it that played a role in it?
Yes, of course. I mean, you don't want to do these things on your own and just keep going on your own. It's like an SEOs. I don't know if you understand search engine
Yeah,
optimization.
yeah.
You need to keep updating it all the time. So you've got to keep updating your brain all the time. There's loads of different products that keep coming into the market, and you want to know about these things. So it's always good to talk to other roofers. It's always good to talk to other tradesmen in the sort of area that you're sort of in, because yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised. Like, some people might turn your way and be like, no, I'm not going to tell you this sort of stuff. But other people, they're more obliged. They like it.
Yeah.
They like to pass on the information and pass on the knowledge, and it's very good. I mean, it helped me out a lot. Every time I go to a supplier and stuff like that, and they buy like a new material that I don't know anything about, I'll ask them about it, and I'll do my research and see if I can get a course on it. And
Okay.
yeah, roofing's always changing. Products are always changing. There's some that are really good 10 years ago, but nowadays they're not worth anything. I mean, you want to go for the new material, keep up to date with a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also you actually mentioned that you also take do you take are there courses that you normally take just to be able to learn something, or because
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was roofing on one of my firms, I worked for about 3 or 4 different companies when I was laboring and being a roofer and stuff like that.
okay.
And there's some companies where, I mean, they cut corners everywhere, and it was a nightmare to work for them, because we keep going back to jobs and everything like that, because they didn't really know what they were doing. But then there's some companies where I worked for that they put me on training courses, and they got me my CSCS card where I can work in construction and everything like that. They put me through courses for fiberglass roofing, so I ended up learning a hell of a lot from fiberglass, and it's a new material now for flat roofs that are going around.
Okay.
And yeah, if I didn't have the training, I mean, I wouldn't know where to start. So training is very important. I'd imagine.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for actually sharing that. Because most entrepreneurs, in terms of um getting courses and programs and stuff like that, um
Mhm.
they 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 are a bit skeptical on that specific side,
Yeah.
because if you were to actually go to YouTube right now, if you were to go to Instagram, if you were to go to any social network platform, you know,
Hmm.
there's everyone is selling courses, right? To a point where you can't actually be able to differentiate between the right one and the wrong one, Uh,
Exactly. You just
yeah,
you just need to look at the regulations. There's loads of regulations in this country. I mean, it just keeps changing every year. In the building trade and stuff. So getting this sort of training, you want to get the right training as well. I mean, sitting there watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, it can only get you so far. What you want to
yeah,
do is you want to get on the courses, recommended courses, and accredited courses where
yeah,
they can teach you the right way of doing things. Because all it takes is, I don't know, in my sort of trade, one roof to fail. You know, I offer guarantees with my work. So if the roof fails and I'm not trained on that course, it's all going to fall back on me. I'd have to give
yeah,
refunds, or that people can take me to court and all that type of stuff. So in a way, it backs you up and makes sure that it just shows the customer that you know what you're doing. You know,
yeah.
and it protects you in the long run, because you're
Okay.
doing the right thing and you're doing the right job.
Yeah, and then also, how do you, or according to your experience, right, and your knowledge, how do you see if a course or an education platform or whatever that is, is isn't something that you should be taking, or it's not exactly legit, or it doesn't do
Yeah.
what they actually say? Would
Well,
do, do
I'll be honest. You just got to try these things and just hope, not hope for the best, but just have a bit more knowledge about what you're looking for and what you're actually trying to do. It all just depends on what sort of trade you're in. But for me, for example, if I was looking at roofing courses, I'll make sure that they're regulated by either the Financial Conduct Authority or anything like that. just to show that a lot of people are using them and they are a good course, and
Okay.
I mean, like I said, you can only learn so much on YouTube and Instagram, and everyone can turn around and try and sell you something that you don't need. And I mean, I get
Yeah.
that a lot as well. I get about 5-6 messages a day with people offering me if I can get new leads from them, and if I can get training from them and all this type of stuff. It gets a bit annoying at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but I mean, you just got to kind of just be a bit educated when you're looking at these things, because you don't want to take on a course that costs X amount of money and they don't actually teach you anything, or they give you a certificate that's not recognized. And you don't want that, because you want to be able to show your certificate to your customers that is recognized.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And you also have mentioned that um you normally get to a point where people they text you telling you that they can do this and that, giving you
Mhm.
big promises. and
Yeah.
and yeah. Now, even at that point, how do you know that this is what you would need to do, and this person is a person that you need to ignore, and that person you shouldn't ignore?
Well, I mean, I get a lot of these messages, man. I mean, some people message me all the time asking me to leave me reviews. They can tell me that they can give me 50 reviews plus for X amount of money. And I mean, that's not how you want to operate. I mean, all of my
Mm.
reviews are all legitimate customers that I actually go
Yeah.
for. It's people that have had my work done. They've looked at my work, they looked at my professionalism, and then they leave me a good review. But
Okay.
a lot of these companies out there, you just got to be a bit more savvy about the whole thing. You don't want you don't want to just take people on. And there's loads of loan sharks out there as well. You don't want to give your money away, and because your money's precious. When your business comes in and you make that bit of income, you want to put that stuff in the right way. So
Yeah.
you got to be cautious of where you're spending your money or where you're throwing your money away, because I've done it before. I've been scammed quite a few times, and it's not nice. It's not a nice feeling, especially when it's up to the hundreds, and you're thinking, "Oh, am
Okay.
I going to get any results from this or that?" And it just doesn't happen, and you just end up sitting there feeling like an idiot, because you just didn't do your research.
Yeah. Could you please, if you don't mind though, could you please
Yeah,
share, the, even if it's two times, just share those times where you got scammed, um even if
yeah,
it's two times, yeah, just
yeah.
so that
So
we can.
a lot of the time I get Facebook messages all the time, just people saying, I can market your website. I know everything about SEOs, which is search engine optimization,
Yeah.
where they can rebuild your website for you, and they'll get it live, and you'll get all this amount of leads and all that type of stuff. And we ended up paying about £400 a month for about 3 months, and we just weren't getting any leads. And the guy rebuilt our website, and it looked like a 2-year-old built the website. I mean, well, not a 2-year-old, but when I was in school,
Yeah.
I built a website myself, and I got a good grade for that. And I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't spectacular website, but it was much better what this guy actually gave us. And I was like, come
Yeah.
on, man, like, I've just paid you all this money, and I mean, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not getting any traction and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the times. But another time was I get scammed by some customers where they go out and they try and get dodgy work. They they'd go and they'd hire a contractor, and when he gets towards the finish, they'll kick them off the site. And it happened to us because we went to go finish someone's work, and then the roof was fine. Everything was totally fine. Like,
Okay.
it was all to regulation. It was all to spec. I checked my levels and everything like that. But then what happened was they towards the end of the day, they basically told me that they got another contractor to come and fix some of my work that I did. And I was a bit skeptical, because I thought,
Mhm.
like, you've already had a contractor out. He's basically built your whole roof. You've got me in to come and do the repairs on this type of roof. But then there was a couple of things that I needed to come back for the next day, where they ended up just getting another contractor to finish it. So they basically used me and this other guy to build the whole roof and get all the repairs, everything back to scratch. And then they just paid the guy at the end to sort of do the little touch up finish bits. And
Mhm.
yeah, they ended up saving a hell of a lot of money on their re-roof because they just went through a couple of contractors. So you got to be careful on your customers as well. That, maybe take deposits up front, or get stage payments for your work to just make sure that you're protected as well as sort of everyone else.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And also, I think also now that you've mentioned those specific times that you've gotten scammed, um I also do get people that normally tell me that they've also been scammed, in this
Mm-hmm.
specific way and that specific way, and now in terms of that, to be honest, there's nothing that we can do really about that, except
No,
for except for just trying to get yourself more knowledge in terms of that specific person, you know.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
just all about, you just got to be careful out there, and you just got to make sure that who you're signing up to, when they start asking for certain, you'll suss this out anyway. I mean, you'll sort of realize when you're getting halfway through and you realize that, hold on a second, like, this feels like a scam. When you start getting that feeling, then it probably is a scam.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and yeah, also, as you also did mention, that when you will also feel it when it is a scam,
Mhm.
yeah. So they've also shared that they've been scammed in this way and that way. It's also a bit a bit closer to what you've actually shared. There was this guy that I had, I think, on the I think it's supposed to be podcast episode 4, right? He also
Okay.
was sharing that, yeah, he was also sharing that he was also he got funded, by the South African, the government thing is that fund people, um
Yeah.
yeah, he got funded, and then when he got funded, um the money that he got, uh he used it correctly, right? But they there were those people that they entrusted them with a specific job, which was
Mhm.
marketing,
Yeah,
so
of course.
yeah. Yeah.
The thing is,
And
you don't want to be paying out a lot of money when you're not getting anything in return.
ex-
Because if you're paying money, say £200-300 a month, I mean, each job that you get, you can charge between £150 to up to 20,000 if he needs a new roof and everything like that. But when you're not getting anything back from these calls and all of these marketing guys, it's a bit frustrating because you're putting a lot of money into that, and if you do that a couple of times, you're going to run out of money, and
yeah.
it's just not business. It's not feasible for the business.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that also, because as I was saying, the problem with marketers, that is something that I hear daily, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I actually started a YouTube channel, just to try and try to educate them, in a
Mm-hmm.
specific, yeah. So also, I'm trying to.
Yes.
You're
Sorry.
gonna say?
No, you carry on. Sorry.
Okay. So that problem, it's a huge problem, and I would say that it's nothing that we can do about it. But if you say that you can't do anything about something, then that thing will keep on continuing. At least if you can help one person or two people or three, at least you're doing something. You're trying to make a change in your own way, right? So yeah, so I also started a YouTube channel just to try and educate, um, marketers in terms of what they should do when this happens, because one thing that I've grown to understand is that it's not a matter of them not knowing what to do, right? But it's a matter of when they do what they think that they need to do, and that thing doesn't actually work, they get to a point where companies lose their money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they get and they will have profited from that, So
Yeah, I mean, look, listen, man. The thing is, trust works both ways. You
yeah.
can, it needs to work both ways. I mean, for an example, my SEO guy, the guy who does my website and stuff, I built the website myself, but all he does is he markets it for me. And he said,
Okay.
"Listen," he said, if you're going to trust me with this, let me show you what I can do, and then you pay
Yeah.
me. Everyone wants the money up front first, and then like when you pay the money up front, then you're expecting them to do the work. But he basically said, "Give me a month, and I'll get you jobs through your website, and you'll get more clicks." And
Okay.
he did, and I've used him ever since, and he's been fantastic. He's not very cheap. He's about £200 a month, but he's a
Okay.
very good guy. He sits there and he does my SEOs properly. I get a lot of traction from my website and everything like that. But I wouldn't have initially picked him if he didn't offer that service first. I mean, the thing is, like I said, I've been scammed before. I've paid out a lot of money and I just didn't get any results. But this guy, he was willing to give me the results first and then show me that he can actually market my company,
Yeah.
and he really did. So I paid him, and I'm still using him to this day. I mean, I use him for everything I need, anything to do with marketing. I'll ask him and
Yeah.
I'll pay him, and yeah, he's doing fantastic things for the business. And he
Yeah.
just came through on Facebook Messenger like they all do. So it's all about that sort
Yeah.
of trust. Trust goes both ways.
Yeah. And I hope anyone that is listening to this, they're taking notes, guys. You know, I really hope you guys are taking notes. Um,
Me too.
yeah,
You
yeah,
want to protect yourself, man. You don't want to end up stuck and you're paying all this money out when your business needs that money.
exactly, man, exactly. Because as you also did mention that, you've also been at a point where you've had an issue with in terms of taxes, right? So I think also other people that is something that they need to actually look at, so that they don't
Mm-hmm.
waste money, money that they could use in other places, but
Exactly.
yeah, but from what I'm actually from our conversation now, I see that you definitely know how to use your money, uh
Well, it took a long time, man. It took a lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights. It's especially starting on your own. You're going to have those
mm,
sleepless nights, and you've got to be careful. You've got to put your money in the right place. That's all I can say, man. It's
yeah,
because that money, your business needs that money to make more
yeah,
business.
okay. And also now, one thing that I need to ask you is, um as you did mention, when we were speaking, right, that you started your company, right, um before you were working for other companies, right? Now,
Mhm.
how did you get the capital to actually be able to start your own company?
Yeah, it was just saving a lot of money, and it took a lot. Because my parents don't have a lot of money. My family don't have money to give me. I didn't really have any money on my own. I left school, being a chef, working all those hours and all of that money. I just saved it and just trying to make sure that I probably saved about £1,000 before I only had £1,000 to start the business, and the van itself cost me £500, and then
Okay.
I had to get it insured. I had to get it. I had to get the tax paid on it, and I had to start marketing my company. But luckily, like I said, the work just came in.
Yeah.
Like it must have been a miracle, because I don't know if I was going to start a company now without the lockdown and everything like that, I'd have to put a lot more money into marketing. So it all just depends, mate. I mean, like I said, I only had £1,000, and I just every bit of money that came in, I used it like it was precious gold to me, and I
Mm.
I just tried to put it in the right place. I had to do a lot of research, had a lot of sleepless nights, but yeah, it ended up that £1,000. I mean, our first year, because I started halfway through the year, we grossed about £35,000.
Okay.
I mean,
What?
which is not bad. But
Yeah, I was a big.
then I've actually got notes here from 2021. We made 77,978 pound, and then
Okay.
in 2022 we made 89,650, and then in
Okay.
2023 we made 93,753. So it's all been going up ever since, you
Yeah,
know.
and thanks to that £1,000 that you actually had,
Exactly.
you know.
If I mean, the van was very cheap. I mean, the van it lasted us till about 2023. So the van for £500 was a very good investment.
Okay.
I mean, that was the workhorse. If I didn't have the van, I couldn't be a roofer because I need all the rubbish, I need my tools, I need the ladders, I need all of that. You know, so
Okay.
the it got us through quite nicely. And then the van eventually like packed out, and I got a finance van now. So
Mm.
and now I've
So
got a better van, it's nice and clean. It looks better for the customers and everything like that. You know,
you bought another van now.
yeah.
Okay, that's good, man. As I was actually saying,
Sorry,
you
I keep going off
actually
track.
no, it's you're not going off track. What I was actually about to say was, as I was saying, you do know how to use your money.
I
Uh,
hope so. I hope so. I still don't know, man. Like I said, I got my accountant now, so she actually knows how to use my money. I mean, for me, I'm just taking a salary now and just living my life.
yeah, yeah, but so far so good. From what I can tell on my side, you do know how to actually use your money. Because most people, you know what they would have done the moment they got that amount.
Mm-hmm.
What they would have had in mind is they would have probably took that money, went straight to a club, and wasted all of that money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard as well when you start seeing all that money coming in. You got to make sure that you got to keep your personal and your business finances separate because when you go and do a job and you earn 2,000-3,000 pound, you think it's your money, but it's not. It's the business's money.
yeah.
You got to put things in the right place. Or yeah, you could go to a strip club, you could go to a bar, you could waste it all in, and then you got to go work, and then your van fails, and then you're like, oh no, I haven't got any money left. So yeah, you got to be smart about your money. You got to. I mean, most entrepreneurs I've met anyway, they are quite savvy with their money. They know what when the money comes in. It's not about your money; it's about reinvesting that sort of money, and it's all about
I was
reinvestments.
about to say that. I was about to say that.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, yeah, I was about to say that, and also from what I can actually tell at this point, um, the people that you are around, would you say that they they actually helped you, or have they actually affected how you actually do your things in terms of because from what you've just said right now,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that the people that you have in your network, or let me just say the people that you connected to, or your friends, right? Um, they probably also know how to use their money. So, would you say that having those people closer to you that actually played a role in helping you get to where you are at this point?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, it's like I've got a scaffolder. So in the UK, when you're doing a re-roof, or I mean, even in South Africa, you need a scaffold all around your
Mm.
house. And I mean, if you want to do it yourself, it takes a lot of labor. So actually got a guy that does all my scaffolding for me, and I've got through quite a few of them. Because after they start giving you cheap prices because they're coming new into the business, and they want to obviously make you a bit of money. They want to make a bit of money. They offer you very cheap rates. But when after a while, I sort of seen like their money just starts going up, and I mean, one year he'd charge what £290 for a scaffold just for a little chimney repair or something like that, and then the next year he's charging up to £1,000, and it's like you've increased all your money because I'm giving you all the work. So you're just trying to make more and more money. So I mean, in that term of networking, I ended up just getting a different scaffolder, and comparing prices with different guys, and it helps in terms of market research as well, because you're looking at other tradesmen and you're looking at how they operate and how much they sort of charge, and you want to keep competitive. So keeping them competitive with the market, you've got to kind of network as much as you can, as often as you can, because you can't just stick with the same guys, because they're going to be preaching the same things 3 years later. You want to constantly be growing and working out what the price range is for all these different things. Because if I was still using the same scaffolder now, he'd be making a hell of a lot more money out of the job than I am,
Yeah.
just because he's just been increasing his prices and stuff. So it does work to sort of network and keep continuously networking.
Okay. And also, for people that let's say they also want to get the right people, right? People that can actually help them in terms of growing themselves, right? And also their businesses. Where do you think is the right place for them to find those people?
At your supply stores, just on the internet as well. I mean, it's all about give for gab, isn't it? So you got to, you got to sort of give to get in a way. So it's all about, like, for me, networking with another roofer is very hard because we're competition in the area. But if I'm getting a lot of jobs coming in and stuff like that, and I see him with different materials, and it's happened to me myself, like some person's come up to me and said, "Oh, what's this fiberglass stuff? I'm using a different material." So then I explained it to him, and then just say, "Yeah, I'll go on these courses and stuff, try and learn from, I don't know, the different type of industries." And yeah, it's just you just got to be open minded to people, very open minded to everything that's going on all around you. Whether it's so for me, I work with carpenters as well. So I don't do the roofing structure. All I do is I tile, I bat in, and I felt the whole roof up. So I'll get a scaffolder in, I'd get a carpenter in, if I need some building work done, I'd get a builder in. So it's all about finding those people. So how do you find those people? I don't know. I reckon on the internet, if probably accredited websites. So just not anyone on the internet that like for Google, you can start a business, no problem. So I don't want to downplay Google, but I work for Checker Trade, I work for Trusted Trader, all of that type of stuff. So if I need a good builder, or if I need a good roofer, or I need a good like carpenter or anything like that, I know that I can go on these sort of websites on the internet and I can find people that are really accredited, and they've had their company checked, they're on Company House, they're a legitimate company, they've got legitimate reviews. And that's kind of our network. And then I'll go to them and I'd ask them, can you help me with this job, or can you help me with that job? Here's the spec, here's the drawings. And yeah, normally you just got to be friendly as well, because I mean, these people, at the end of the day, you never know if you're going to need them again, and you never know when they're might need you. So you just got to be friendly in this sort of trade. And I find that a lot of people aren't. And the people that aren't, they not really the type of people that you want to work with, I don't think, in my personal opinion.
And I would also fully agree with you on that. People that aren't great, especially if a person doesn't know how to actually communicate with you. I would say that you shouldn't work with that person. Because it's gonna hurt you at the end of the day. And
I mean, sorry,
no problem, you can continue.
No, you continue, please. Sorry, I have a habit of interrupting people, so I do apologize.
I really don't mind if as long as you do have something to say with me, I really don't mind.
No, carry on. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I would, as I was saying, I wouldn't suggest that you should work with that kind of person. And also, just to add to what you were saying, you did mention that if a person wants to get the right people, or the right connections, or the right network, they need to also go to the internet. That might not always work, but sometimes it does. Because with me, just to try and make an example with me, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, right? I didn't exactly have that that the right network or the right connections or know the right people, but I started to create more content on the internet. I started to get into I don't know if you use LinkedIn. Do you use LinkedIn?
No, I don't.
Or you
I
okay?
don't know. I set up a profile, but I haven't used it. I haven't put a lot of time into it yet. No.
No, okay. But I would highly suggest that you should check it out. Uh, that
Hmm.
that's yeah, that's what I that's when I started to get the the right connections or the right network. When I got to LinkedIn, that's where I started to connect with people that also have a mission, in their lives, that want to do something with their lives, and
Hmm.
and the more you get those kinds of people in your life, and also that also helps you, not in terms of you only, but also for whatever that you do, because
Hmm.
yeah, because maybe you might know someone that is in the agricultural space, and that person and you may be in the roofing space,
Hmm.
but that person in the long run might help you, you don't know how, or but at the end of the day, there might be that specific time that person might know someone that knows someone, you know
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
It's all about networking. Yeah.
exactly, so I would also suggest that people should go to especially LinkedIn, guys. Me, I will always say LinkedIn is the place to go, because if you want the right connections and the relevant people that have a mission in their lives, you should go to LinkedIn. So just to add to what you were saying.
No, I appreciate that. I'm going to look at LinkedIn tonight. I'm actually going to have a look. I'm going to try and set my profile up and everything. I'll take your advice from that, mate.
Yeah, please do check it out, man.
Mm.
Even when you do such, I'm sure you might see familiar faces, or you might actually get a lot of people, because even in the UK, they are some people that actually own construction companies, some that are actually in the mining space.
Hmm.
That's where lately I've been networking with people in the mining space. Even on Tuesday, I'm shooting an interview with also another guy that owns a mining company. He was staying in Canada for a very long time, and
Okay.
yeah, and he moved to Peru. I don't know if you know Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he,
Peru, South America.
yeah. So he moved to Peru, and he has about, I think it's about 20 28 hect no, I think it's 28,000 hectares that he actually owns in Peru. So
Well, yeah.
lately, that just to actually show you that with LinkedIn, you might get the right connections and you might get the relevant people, if only you take the time to actually try and focus on it,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
exactly. I mean, I think you're right. I think LinkedIn, I've heard about it. I heard it's a very good platform for networking as such with
yeah,
business owners as well. It's not like Facebook where you have your personal stuff and your personal profiles and stuff. It's straight to the point. It's professional. And
exactly,
yeah, no, I agree. I
exactly,
agree. I think that would be a very good platform, mate. I mean,
yeah,
like for me, I think Facebook's good, but I think Google's fantastic because it puts sponsored links in as well, where people can advertise their company. So when you do type into the search engine, you get what you're looking for, especially in your
okay,
area. So if I was going to find, like I said, if I was going to find a contractor or something like that, if I was looking for say a carpenter, I'd just type it into Google and then I'd look at the number one websites to go through. And then I just from my own bit of
okay,
knowledge, I'd look who I can sort of connect with and who's in my local area. Because it's
okay,
very difficult for me. I mean, at the end of the day, I like to work local. So all the people in about a 30-mile radius or
okay,
60 kilometers, I mean, I look for people in those sort of areas, because obviously I need them to be on site. I need them to be close. You know, I don't want to get someone that's all the way in London and
Yeah.
I'm about 2.5 hours away from them. You know, it's no good because he's got to travel down, travel back. That's 5 hours out
Yeah.
of his day just to come and look at the project, you know. So it
Okay.
doesn't really make sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And also do you use Facebook a lot? Would you say that you use Facebook a lot?
I try to, yeah. It's very good because I'm on like a lot of the pages. There's community groups. There's
Oh,
Facebook's
okay.
good in that respect because you get community groups, you get different pages, you get buy and sell, you get face bay as well. So it's all
Oh,
people in
okay.
the local area looking for recommendations for certain people, you know, like roofers and stuff like that. So all I got to do is I'll send my own sort of advert, and then I'll post that every now and again. I can actually schedule the posts as well. So I can
Mm,
sit there for about 2-3 hours and just schedule loads of posts for certain groups throughout. I'd pretty much I'll schedule a whole month full of just posts getting posted all over the place, and it seems to work. I sort of get a lot of traction from there
yeah.
because it's local as well. You know, I'm not going to look for a group for say London again
Yeah.
when I'm operating all the way down close to Southampton and Portsmouth. It just doesn't make sense. You know, I want to
Yeah.
advertise to the people close, you know, because I want to do the roofing close. So
Yeah.
it changes with the industry. It all just depends on what you guys want and what everyone what sort of trade you guys are in and what sort of markets out there. But I mean, if you're say running like a food store or a food business, or you know, it all depends on how far you want to go. But if it's all online and you can send it to them, I mean, the postal service is fantastic nowadays anyway. So
Yeah.
you can advertise all around the UK. You know, it all just depends on what sort of business you guys got and what sort of market you have. You know, it's all about supply and demand, but you want to be able to give the guys, you want to be able to supply to the demand. So you got to you got to kind of be a bit knowledgeable on this sort of front, I think.
Yeah. 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 And also as you did mention that you use Facebook a lot for groups and for pages that uh
Mhm.
a lot even myself I used to love using Facebook but
Mhm.
I just got to a point where I was like, hey, the the content that Facebook is actually giving out. Some people might say that it's the algorithm, right? But the
Yeah.
content that but the content that Facebook, I mean the content that is in your feed, it's not exactly content that you would say is productive a lot, because
No.
if even the internet, I I work with it a lot, but sometimes a lot of things that it are happening in it, I don't exactly condone them,
Yeah.
but yeah, but I'm sure I think there is a group that me and you might be in. I don't know which group, or because on Facebook, I'm in groups a lot, especially groups uh that have entrepreneurs, business owners,
Mhm.
roofing company owners, construction company owners, mine, that's where you can find me. So I'm pretty sure, even if it's one group, but there is a group that we are
Yeah, I don't know how
looking
you found me, man, but you managed to find me. I mean, like I said, man, I operate on loads of platforms. I can go through
in. Yeah,
the list for you if you want. I mean, I use Facebook, I use
yeah.
Google, I use Instagram, I use TikTok, I use Checker Trade, Trusted Trader, My Job Quote, My Builder.
Mm,
I do a lot of my SEOs on my website. So I'm trying to. It's
okay.
quite a broad market out there, but you know, it all just depends on what the clientele, what sort of thing you're trying to sell to the people. You know,
Yeah,
so it really does. But these markets are very flooded as well. You know, even with Facebook, you can post a lot of ads and stuff like that. But sometimes you get very little traction because everyone's posting on these groups. So you got to find the right groups for the right in the right place and for what you're trying to sell to the people.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. But but on those platforms, like for instance Facebook and Instagram and so on and so forth, what I've also learned is that maybe for some people it doesn't work that way, but what I've learned is that um you need to actually be able to buy the attention, because
Hmm.
yeah, because if you were to check now, um on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on X, which was which was Twitter,
Hmm.
yeah. If you can get there, what you'll notice is that there's a lot of people. Like for instance, there's about um over 2 billion or 3 billion on the Meta platforms, which is Facebook and Instagram. And that and now those guys are trying to profit from those platforms. And how do they actually profit? They profit by making sure that we put money on the table. So that
Hmm.
I think also that that's another reason why it's hard for us to actually get the traction that we actually need.
Yeah, no, I understand fully. Uh,
Yeah,
like I said, the markets are very flooded because everyone's trying to do the same thing. I mean,
exactly,
there's
man.
probably about 50 roofers in my area all doing exactly what I'm doing. And,
Yeah,
to be there on the first page and be there at the top, you've got to spend money. And, you know, if you're not going to be willing to spend money on marketing, then your business is going to go nowhere. You need to be able to put a little pot away for marketing and make sure that
yeah,
you're advertising to the right people. And I mean, there's people out there that can do it. you know Me
yeah,
myself, I don't know that much about it. That's why I use someone. I pay someone quite a bit of
yeah,
money, but it gives results. He knows what he's doing on these platforms.
yeah. Which is a good thing, which is a
Yeah.
good thing because it's important to outsource um things that you don't know nothing about.
Mm.
Like for instance, you've managed to outsource your marketing side of things. You've managed to outsource your accounting side, which is a good thing. But one thing that I just have to ask at the moment, do you do you have any employees that you are working with?
Yeah. So I've got Lauren. She's my other half. She does all my administration. So all of
Okay,
the invoicing and all that type of stuff, she covers all of that type of stuff.
okay,
So and yeah, if I need roofers or I need laborers and stuff like that, I'd subcontract out that work as well. So I am outsourcing quite a substantial amount of my business, really. But
okay,
it's all in the right sort of place, because if
yeah,
if Lauren's taking care of the invoicing and calling all the customers and stuff like that, it takes a massive weight off of my shoulders. Plus,
yeah,
when I get laborers in and stuff like that, when they doing all the heavy manually sort of work, I can focus on the quality of the work. So that's another massive weight off my shoulders, especially with the
exactly,
accounting. So you have to spend money to make money, mate. You really do.
true. And if you aren't willing to actually spend it, uh your your time will be spent on one thing. And not only that, but the more you keep on being stingy uh, with the money that is meant to be spent on investing into your company,
Mm.
the more you end up having to close it down.
Yeah. No, exactly. You need to spend money to make money, but you need the right channels, But yeah, you're absolutely right, mate.
Yeah, yeah. And also just to you did say that you did ask me that how did you said I don't even know, bro, how you actually got a hold of me.
No.
Yeah, and it's thanks to social media.
Yeah.
Because yeah, because with me on social media, what I normally do um most of the day basically is, if I'm not working, then I'm trying to get the relevant people, because one thing that I've grown to understand is that having to think that when you post, you are gonna get that viral video. Um, maybe that might work, but sometimes you just need to be willing to actually go out there,
Mhm.
connect with other people, as I was actually mentioning, So that's
Mhm.
how I actually came across you guys,
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, at the end of the day, it did work. It seems like you know what you're doing.
yeah, and here you are, Uh,
Yeah.
so 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 that actually shows that it actually worked, So and yeah, now one thing that I I need to ask you, you did mention that you what you normally do is that you normally outsource, right? A lot of your work, right? And having to outsource, right? You did mention that to 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 make money, you need to spend money, right? Now, would you say that ha, the would you say that when you did outsource to people out there, did that make a difference in your life and also in your business?
Mhm. Yeah, very much so, man. The thing is, it's like the way I see it. You got a hat for every side of the business. So every hat is a different thing. So you got a hat for marketing. You've got a hat for the actual labor. You've got a hat for um, your finances. You got a hat for every little bit of your business, right? And if you're sitting there and you're wearing all the hats, you're not going to have any time for yourself or your family or anyone. You got to distribute the hats to every different person. So if everyone's wearing their different hat and everyone's getting paid, you actually make a lot more money because I'm not, I spend hours and hours on marketing myself. I spend hours on the labor myself, and I got to check the jobs as well. And I got to price jobs and I spend hours on the, the accounting side of things.
Okay.
And the more time that you have to yourself is the more time that you can grow your business because you're focusing on
Yeah,
all the little details of things. So you're kind of freeing yourself up. So your time is valuable, especially if you run the business.
exactly, man. So in this case, I think, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? I think my connection's just gone. 1 second. Hello?
Yeah. Um, I couldn't get through to you. But can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually saying that. Um, so in this case, I believe we have to thank um, Lauren, right? And your accounting team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also your marketing guy,
Of course.
Yeah,
They bring prosperous to the business. It's very hard to work without them. Very, very hard. I spend too much time, sleepless nights, everything. Very, very much credit to the marketing team. Marketing. I think marketing. You need to invest in marketing, or else you don't know who's looking at your work. You need people to
exactly,
find you. You need people to be looking at you. And if you're not marketing the right way, you're spending loads of money for nothing.
exactly, man. Exactly. So kudos to those guys. Um, you know, and also just to try and get to the juicy parts or questions basically, right? Um, where do you actually see yourself in the next um 5 years?
Sitting on a beach, drinking tequilas. No, honestly, like the way the business is growing at the moment. Like I said, our last year was our best year. It was 93,700. It's nearly £100,000.
Mm.
In the next 5 years, I hope it goes up by fivefold. So I hope to earn 200,000 that year. And if I can earn that sort of money, that would be fantastic.
And
Be fantastic.
okay,
But I'd
and
also like to outsource the roofing as well. So if I can find roofing contractors to do the work themselves, then there won't be a lot of time spent in the business. So I can sell the business for, I don't know, 500,000 to 1 million.
okay. So in the next few years, do you actually see yourself selling the company?
Yeah, most probably. Yeah, if the thing is, I've already had offers for 500,000 to 1 million, so I know what's out there. All I got to do is just make sure that
Oh,
the
okay.
company's running itself.
Oh, okay.
So once the
So,
company runs itself, I can invest that money, reinvest it into more businesses.
no, I was actually about to ask that. That are there any other things that you do want to venture into?
Uh, I don't know. I think roofing's very good. I know the trade. Uh, I would quite like to own a restaurant one day because I've become a really good chef through
No,
all of my
okay,
time. I became a head chef, so eventually maybe I could run a restaurant down in the Caribbean somewhere. I
okay,
don't know. It all just depends. We got to see what the future holds, but I got high hopes, mate.
yeah, and you really should, because if you aren't, then who will be doing that for you? So that is actually something that is important that you just
Mm-hmm.
said right there. And also now that you mentioning that you would want to get into the restaurant business, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, would you then say that in the next 10 years, that is something that you would be doing basically?
I don't know. Like I said, I'll probably start multiple different businesses. So if I can sell the business for 1 million, that'd be great. What I'll do is I'll invest about because I only needed £1,000 to start with, but I'd do it properly and I'll probably invest £10,000 and I'll get a roofing business back on track again and start from the beginning again. And then just keep
Okay.
going there and buying and selling businesses, maybe going into the property market and start buying and selling houses. I mean, it all
Oh,
just
okay.
depends on where it sort of takes us.
Okay.
But I got high hopes, mate.
Yeah. And now that you're actually mentioning that you would want to venture into the property business, do you think that is a viable business model?
Maybe. I mean, just depends on the market. It fluctuates very, very drastically over like 5 year time in this country. So if I was gonna go into the property business, the good thing is once you buy the first house, it's an asset, and
Yeah.
then your next house is going to be an asset. And I mean, with businesses, I mean, everything fluctuates. You don't really know if your business is going to take off or not. So it all just depends. But at least if you're buying and selling assets, it's kind of a no-brainer. It makes sense. And because you're always increasing the value of the house per year, depending on the location,
Okay.
it's you can make a lot of money.
Yeah. And if you were to get into the property business, would you would you get into that space in your country, or would you actually go to another country?
It just depends. I mean, I know if the exchange rate's got so different between the UK pound to the South African rand. I think it's 23 rand to the pound. I think I think I could buy quite a few houses down there and sublet them. I mean, my plan would be um, renting out the rooms to like university students and just
Oh, okay.
buying houses out there close to universities and then just rent the rooms out and start making money that way. I don't know. There's loads of options. That's the thing. It's hard to sort of tell until you're there.
Yeah.
My main focus is just get the roofing business up to scratch.
Yeah. So you can be able to do that. And
Mm.
the reason why I was asking you this, I just wanted to actually see if it's something that you've been thinking about, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, and now I can definitely tell that it's something that you've been thinking about, you know. Just hearing that if you had to buy the properties, then you would buy them in a great location, which would be closer to universities. That actually, I don't know if I'm wrong, but that actually tells me that it's probably something that you've been thinking about.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is, in the UK, Lauren, she went to university and she had to rent out a place down there. And I mean, it's a very, very high demand for rooms around those sort of locations, and you can charge quite a lot of money. But not only that, is you get student loans, university loans, so your money's always going to be backed up. It's not like the kid's going to turn around and not pay you the rent because at the end of the day, they're getting the money in and they're going to make sure they have property. So it's quite it's quite concrete, really. It's it's just
Yeah,
make sure your money's protected.
yeah, I know, I fully understand. And also just to add to that, um, I don't know if in the UK it's the same as in SA, right? But here in South Africa, there is what is called NSFAS, right? Now, what happens is they actually pay for the if you get it, it will be paying for the property that you will be staying in, you know, which just to get to that point, to what you were saying, um, it would you would be able to actually
Sorry, you're gone. Can you repeat
can
that?
you
Sorry.
okay, I was actually saying that here in South Africa there is what is called NSFAS, which which is a student, it's in the UK, I normally hear that there is what is called, even in the US, the student loan. It's also a student loan program. But what happens is they pay for the school, and they pay for, sometimes they pay for the allowance also,
Mm-hmm.
and then also the property that you will be staying in, right? Um, so just to add to what you were saying, you would be able to get your money either way, because they wouldn't be paying it, but the school, the NSFAS program will be paying for it. you know
Exactly. So it just
yeah,
means your money's protected, mate.
exactly. Yeah, so as we were saying, um property is pretty much, I would say it's a viable business model, especially this side, and also in the other third world countries. Okay, especially there's this country that I've been paying attention to lately. I don't know. I'm sure you're probably aware of it. Um, Tanzania, right? Are you aware of Tanzania?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is a city that is called Zanzibar, right? It's a
Yeah.
city on an island. Yeah. So the one thing that I've noticed about is that, especially the tourism industry of it, there's a lot of money that goes to that country, and so just to add to the part that uh, property is a viable business model.
Yeah, I think so, mate. It all just depends on the market at the time. Because I know in the UK I think we're looking at a market crash. So that's when all the people are going to start selling their houses and start putting the money back in the banks,
Okay.
which is going to drive the property down. But the thing is, property in this country is very, very expensive, especially to rent. Like a, I don't know, like a 1 bedroom flat is probably about £1,000 a month. So it's very
Yeah.
expensive. And I mean, the average worker only the average they probably only average about 1,600. So it's leaving a lot of families with just £600 left to like live on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got to wait for the crash. If the crash is going to happen, then it's probably the best time to buy. But
Yeah. Yeah. And also, just to add to that, I also, that I have a friend that actually, that also used to be that side full time, and he actually got a property in Cape Town,
okay,
and yeah, he was actually sharing the same thing that you were sharing with me right now, you know, which is it's a bit expensive in the UK, and the views and the property and the sizes of the properties, if you were to compare with the properties that you would get, let's say in the UK, in in the UK, for let's say about for 1 million, right? And check the properties that you would get in Cape Town for that very same price. There's a huge difference.
yeah, huge difference. Yeah,
you
Yeah,
know?
it's the trouble with the currencies because the currencies like fluctuate and they, 23 rand to the pound. It's actually getting better. It used to be 25 rand to the pound, and it actually got
Yeah,
to 30 rand to the pound at some point. But it looks like South Africa is starting to get a bit better. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it all just depends, mate. I mean, I'm not that clued up on the whole thing. I don't really know myself. It's just one of those type of things that when I get to it, and if I, if I can sell the business for 1 million, then I could probably only afford 2 houses down here. But if I move back to South Africa, I'll probably afford what 10, 15 houses down there. So I just got to sort of work it out at the time.
yeah. Even a hotel, bro. With with 1 million that side, you might even get a hotel at the side.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome. 5-star hotel, change the menu. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not
And
that good of a chef.
I was actually about to say that you did mention that you love being a chef. So the kitchen side, I was gonna say that the kitchen side of your hotel would be taken care of by you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just don't know the other side of things, so I don't know the hotel management and all that. It's you know,
Oh,
it's
that's true.
it's all just yeah, I need to go for training for all of that. So it's all about knowledge and it's all about education. I think education and knowledge gets you a long way in this sort of world. If you don't know anything like I did when I started out my roofing business, I had a lot of hiccups and I accumulated a lot of debt
Yeah,
because I had to kind of learn as I went, in terms of my finances and my marketing and all that type of stuff. But
yeah,
it all just depends. So, say if I can sell my business, then yeah, I'll go for a hotel management course. So I can go for anything. It all just depends, mate. It like the world's your oyster, as they always say.
yeah. So
But I mean, sorry, if I can give advice to anyone, it's just work hard. You just got to work hard and study. Make sure that you got the knowledge of what you're doing, and the world's your oyster. You can do anything in this world.
yeah, and also just to try and go backwards a bit, you know. Um, when we were starting the podcast, you you did mention that you you went to school, and so on and so forth. So would you say that you for someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, is that a good route to actually take, or they should take a different one?
I mean, school's very important, but when I was that age, I didn't think it was. That's why I just wanted to earn money.
Okay.
That was my whole philosophy. All I wanted to do was earn money and earn it as quick as I possibly could. So in this country, when you leave school, you leave at 16. But now it's changed. Now you have to be 18. But I mean, back in South Africa, it was 18 to 21. So I
Yeah,
I started working at the age of 16, and I wish I'd done better at school. I kick myself all the time for that. I wish I paid more attention. I wish I learned a bit more. But like nowadays, now that I've understood the world and I've understood the money and all that type of stuff, I think
yeah,
education is very important. And I think it's a I think if you don't know what you're doing and you're going in blind, you can cause yourself a hell of a lot of debt and a hell of a lot of problems.
okay, yeah. And also, if you did finish, right, with your studies and everything, maybe what would you have became?
I don't know. I don't know. Something to do with computers. I might have been, I don't know, an IT technician, or I might have just become an electrician, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. Could have been
So
anything.
so at that time you weren't exactly thinking about that.
No, I didn't know. I'll tell you what, I never knew I'd be a roofer. I didn't think I'd be a roofer at this point, and I didn't think I'd own my own business. But times have changed, and yeah.
Yeah. And also now, one thing that I have to ask you, man, is that what would you say that is your favorite part of actually being a business owner?
Just the freedom, just financial freedom, mate, and not having to work a 9 till 5 mundane job, all day, every day. I like how the money flows. It's whatever I put in. yeah, no, I get back out. So
Yeah,
it all just depends. If I don't want to work one day, I know I'm not going to earn money. So it's all
yeah,
up to me now.
yeah. And also just to add to that, one thing about me that you probably by now you've actually noticed is that um first of all, I I love to have conversations with people, and second of all, um I have a story for everything, but probably by now you've actually noticed that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So actually, there was this guy, he's my friend's friend, he was actually working for this other company in Cape Town actually, and it does what's that, a UI UX design, you know it does that, so
Hmm.
he was like, hey bro, I've been working for a very long time for these guys, and now what I've came to understand is that, these guys, I can design about three, let's say three websites, or three apps, and these guys
Hmm.
can get paid about 30 or even 100,000, just for those three, that this guy designed. And he was like, hey bro, this is not it,
Hmm.
I think now it's time to actually start my own thing,
Hmm.
which by that I'm just trying to add to what you were saying,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, it was very hard for me to go back, start a business on my own. It was very hard. It was very stressful because I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I really didn't think that the business had last this long because I just didn't have the right knowledge for it. I knew how to be a roofer and I knew I was good at my job, you know.
yeah.
So I mean, I'll tell you one story. There was this one time where my old employer, he asked me to work on the weekend, and it was a very stressful weekend for me. So I said no, but he said he'll pay me double pay. So I said, yep, no problem. So I went and I built the roof and everything like that for him, and he was quite happy. Customer was very happy, and then he came around and the customer gave him a fat stack of cash like this big
No,
in his hand, and the guy didn't do any of that roof. He didn't build anything. He didn't buy the
yeah.
supplies. I'd done everything, and he took out like tiny little bits. He took out my wage out of that big stack of cash, and he took it, put it in his pocket, and he left. So I said, right, I want to make that stack of cash. I want to
Yeah,
make that money, and I've kind of never looked back since, mate. I remember my first job where I got my stack of cash, and I looked at it and I said, this is all mine. I
yeah.
just realized like I made the right decision, mate.
That's what I was actually about to ask you. You keep on answering questions before I can even ask you about them,
No problem.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you that. What what was the moment where you were like, uh, now I'm actually doing the decision that I'm actually taking, and what I'm doing is actually the right thing. This is where I should be.
Yeah.
When was that, and what was happening during that specific moment?
Well, yeah, he took the stack of cash, and then I decided. I said, right, I'm going to work. I'm going to try and get this business set up on my own. So
Yeah,
I ended up just thinking, right, I need to get a van. I need to get the tools. I need to get everything. And I mean, it was stress. You got to take these risks in life. That's the thing. I mean, I didn't know it'd be successful, but
yeah,
I knew I was a good roofer, and I knew about a bit more computers than my old boss did. So I thought, if he can make that sort of money, so can I. And yeah, I just took the jump. I took a risk. It was a
okay,
very, very big risk because yeah, we got a family, we got a little daughter, we got everything. And jumping from having a stable job to just trying to get my business in and get my business set up, it was very stressful. I didn't think I could do it. But at the end of the day, me and Lauren, we just worked hard, and yeah, we managed to make a lot of money from it.
yeah, yeah, and also thank you for sharing that though.
No problem.
But yeah, but the question that I was actually trying to ask was that um when did you actually when was it that you were like, uh, me starting a business, you know was the decision that I actually needed to take. You know, when was that moment? Where you were like, it's I think it's time now that I actually, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I sat back, I looked at how much I was getting paid. I wasn't getting paid a lot of money. I was working really hard to make someone else rich. And I wanted to be rich myself. I don't know. I just took a dive. I took a risk. I took a risk and it played out. And I mean, that was in 2020. And
yeah,
when I took that risk, like I said, it was in the pandemic, and all of these people all needed work around their house. So I went to my first job. I didn't even have a set of ladders. I went and I quoted the job, and I went and I bought a pair of ladders that day once he accepted the job. So
mm,
I started on minimal, and yeah, that at that moment I just realized like I have to do this now. I have to work because I have to provide for my family. And
okay,
yeah, I worked really hard, and yeah, it just kind of it just became successful out of nowhere. Like I took the dive and it worked.
okay, yeah, and that's actually interesting. You know, that's actually interesting, because you actually did mention that, you and Lauren actually have a baby daughter. And how old is she?
She's 18, 19 months, but I have a previous daughter anyway. I don't really see her anymore. She's about 7 years old now.
Oh, also you have two daughters.
Yeah, and one on the way, one in the oven.
Hey, bro. Hey, you working, man.
Yeah, I'm working hard.
Yeah. And also, as you saying right now, you had two daughters, and and actually you had one, right, at that specific time, right?
Hmm.
And the mere fact that you were like, you decided to actually go through with it, uh, and also, I think from having to actually speak with you, uh, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but at from what I've heard, and from us having to speak, I now understand why you were actually saying that. When we started, you mentioned that, um, me and my other half, we actually we decided to actually start the company, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, and now I actually understand, um, that first of all, you guys decided to actually start. You saw that there was a huge gap, right? And you needed to get there. You needed to get into it, right? And you needed to make more money because you saw that your
Hmm.
your 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 bosses were actually making a lot of money, through you
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
and yeah, and you decided that, um let's just go through with it, let's start this, and you guys actually started it. And I think, as I was saying, you will you will correct me, right? But the partnership that you had at that specific time, um is what actually made you guys be this powerful full team that you guys were, you know
Hmm.
and you guys keep on being, right?
Yeah, man. Look, the thing is, you got to take risks in life. If you know, you don't want to take stupid risks, but a risk, you got to you got to weigh out your pros and your cons. And at the end of the day, I was working it out, and it just didn't make sense to keep working for these guys when I needed the money, and I sacrificed my weekend for that, and I
Yeah,
sacrificed the weekend to spend time with my daughter, and I just took the jump. I took a jump. I took a risk. It was a very, very stupid risk. Me and Lauren were thinking about it. Maybe it was the wrong choice. Maybe it was the right choice. I don't know. But
yeah.
then when the money started coming in, we started to realize, holy shit, we made. Excuse my language. Sorry,
No problem, no problem.
but yeah, we ended up just making a hell of a lot of money, and yeah, we've never looked back. I mean, it's been 4 years now. I mean, the business is making more and more money every year. I mean, we just don't know what the future is going to hold. But I mean, if we're going to keep making this money, then we got to start making better plans. And yeah, I mean, you got to take risks. I can understand from any industry, especially in entrepreneurs and stuff. I mean, all the time you're working on building your business and putting a lot of money and a lot of your own personal time into it. You know, you want to
Yeah.
see the money. You want to see the money at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you're working hard. You're taking a lot of time out of your family, and you think it's going to be the right choice, but you just got to make sure that that money comes in. So you're going to make it as quick as possible, but obviously looking after your customers, because a lot of my customers as well, like I've done 6 7 jobs for loads of people right from the same house. You know, it's
Okay.
recommendations. I was professional from the start, and I'm professional now, you know, and a lot of my competition on. So
Okay. And and you know I did mention this, that you just have a way of answering questions before I can actually start to actually ask them.
I'm sorry, mate. I tend to talk a lot. My customers say the same.
Yeah, and that is actually a compliment on my side, you know.
I
Uh,
appreciate it. Thank you, man.
yeah, yeah, you know. So thank you for actually answering that, because I was actually gonna ask you, when did it what why and how do you think you were able to get more jobs and more jobs and more jobs, while you, because you were, when we were speaking, right, you did mention that you weren't um you weren't a guru, right, in marketing, but you were able to make it work, and you got more jobs, and you know, during a time where you weren't that knowledgeable in terms of marketing. So I was going to ask you, um, why and what do you think actually made that possible, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. Determination from an entrepreneur myself. You know, I mean, I run 3 different companies. I actually run a pest control company as well. So
Oh,
I
is
deal
it?
with yeah, I deal with mice, rats, and all that type of stuff. But I need to turn that into a limited company now, because now I'm not sole trading and I can't work for all 3. But I've got another
Mm.
one where it's smoke and oak, where we do like barbecues, and we sub out loads of like like corporations, they need parties for their staff and stuff like that. They'll call me up, and then I'll go and I'll set up a food
Oh,
bank,
okay.
and I'll start doing the barbecue for everyone, and I'll cater for the whole company. So yeah, it's from an entrepreneur's point of view, right? You've got to take that jump, you know, whether the ledge is this big or the ledge is that big, you know. I mean, it all depends
Yeah.
on how hungry you and how much you actually want to put into yourself as well as your
Yeah.
businesses. But yeah, like I don't know, mate. At the end of the day, you just gotta be determined. You just gotta keep going and keep going. And you know, if you have a good plan in your head and you think it's sound, you know, even if you might not have the money, make the money. Try and get the money, because at the end of the day, if you have a gut feeling and it's a good feeling, you never know.
Yeah. And and that actually goes to show now, you know, looking looking at from when you started with about £1,000, and look at what it actually turned into now, you know.
I know. Tell me
Yeah.
about it, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like £1,000, I needed that as well. Like I had my rent due the next month, and my rent's £1,000. Well, £950. So
Mm.
I was thinking, like, is this business going to turn over enough to be able to pay the rent and all of
And
that
it
type of
did.
stuff? And it did, man. It did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thank God. I think anyone out there that all of my customers in the past, you know, they trusted me instead of someone else, and it worked. It worked, man. And yeah, like I said, I'll never look back, mate. Never look back.
Yeah.
You just got to trust your gut feeling. Trust that
Yeah.
that work is going to come in, and your knowledge. You just got to be knowledgeable about everything.
Yeah, that's true, man, you know. And also now I see, because when we were discussing earlier on, right, you did mention that you would want to get into possibly running your own restaurant, right? And now you actually mentioning that you also have a catering company kind of,
Hmm.
and now that actually now that let me just say it actually, first of all, it answers a question that I had, right? Which was since you said that it's been a while since you've been in that specific industry, right? And now I understand that it's something that is you still doing, it's something that is still in your daily life, you know so now I kind of get it a bit, you know
Yeah,
yeah.
man. I mean, like put it this way. Yeah, I like being a chef, but all of those hours and working for restaurants and kitchens and all that type of stuff, it was just too much of my time that I was wasted making a company rich. I was only get paid like minimum wage and stuff like that. And when I became a head chef, like I was still on probation for a lot of it, so I was still only getting paid as a sous chef. I mean, it was a passion of mine, cooking food and making good food, but I mean, that industry killed my passion. It made me hate the sort of work and made me hate the job.
Mm.
But then when we started up roofing and stuff, I had a bit of time over the summer, and I just thought, right, how cool would it be to set up barbecues everywhere and have a nice easy shift? It'd take me what
Yeah.
3 4 hours. I could probably make about 3 4 grand, and that sort of worked. I've got another one down in Lyon Solent. I
Okay.
mean, all I got to do is go and prep a couple of sandwiches, and I'm going to make like a good 400 500 pounds. It's going to take me 2 hours worth of work, and if you compare that to what I was doing in the kitchen, I mean, it'd take me about a week to earn that sort of money, working 12 hours a day.
Okay.
So it's all about just doing your market research and actually just realizing that there is money out there. You just got to know how to grab it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you you are aware of Grant Cardone.
What's that? Sorry.
Grant Cardone.
No.
Oh, okay. No, no, I thought maybe you were. Is actually is in the entrepreneurship space. You know, I
Okay.
thought maybe you knew him. But he
Graham
also
Cardone.
Grant Cardone. I will actually send you the name.
Yeah,
Maybe
please do.
yeah, maybe you can check him out. Uh,
Hmm.
and also in terms of the property industry that you said you were into, I think a lot of questions you would get answers to them if you were to check him out. What he normally says is, uh, what one thing about money, and and when you wake up and when you contact people and when you go out there, one thing that you need to know is, when you go out there, that person that you're looking at, or that person that you're speaking to, or that person you're trying to get a deal out of, one thing that you need to keep on telling yourself is that there is money, right? And there is a lot of it, because
Hmm.
um and this I'm just saying it due to my experience, because there are companies like BlackRock, and the the companies that are actually circulating about, I think it's about trillions, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Those guys are
BlackRock's biggest company
yeah,
in the world. Yeah.
exactly. Those guys are circulating about trillions of dollars. And now that actually tells you a lot, that there is a lot of money, right? And you know just to try and add to what you were saying, there
Hmm.
is a lot of money, but you just need to keep on telling yourself that um, this person has my money. Like, for instance, when you are looking, or when you go to a client for let's say a quotation, right? um, the mindset that you would need to keep on telling yourself, when you go to that person, or when you're with that person, when you're sitting down with that person, you need to say that to yourself, right? That this person right here, right? This person has my money, but this person just doesn't know that, Now,
Yeah.
yeah, now, as I'm sitting here right now, that's what you're gonna be telling yourself. As I'm sitting here right now, um, I just need to find a way that will make me convince this person to give me my money, because that is my money, and that's true, because,
Hmm.
like, for instance, as I was saying, there's companies like BlackRock, and what's the second one? Um, Vanguard. You know, that
Vanguard,
that
yeah.
yeah, there's companies like BlackRock and Vanguard. Those guys are circulating about trillions, and those guys, I'm pretty sure that's also their mindset that these guys have my money, and we need to go and take that money. And of
Mhm.
which, what do? They actually do that, you know.
It's like a bank, yeah. A bank uses your money to make more money. It's all
Exactly.
circulating your money. I mean, the beauty of it is there's so much money to go around, and you just got to figure out a way to grab it. Whether you're in the marketing trade, whether
Yeah,
you're in the roofing trade, whether you're in the mining trade, or anything like that. At the end of the day, when there's money out there, I mean, it just depends on how much work you want to put into it and how much you want to get out of it. Really,
exactly, man. Exactly. As
supply and
you've just
demand.
mentioned, you couldn't have said it better. Yeah. So there is a lot of it. It all it just takes is you finding the right way to actually be able to grab it. You know, and when you do grab it, you need to find a way to make sure that you you keep that money. Because it's useless to actually say that you want to get the money, right? But when you do get it, you don't know how to actually use it, or you don't know how to actually keep it and increase it. as
Put it
as
in
I
the
was
right places. Yeah.
exactly as I was actually saying to you earlier on that uh there is a guy that I've been in contact with, which we've been discussing this. He was actually sharing with me how do you make sure that um even if you were to be sued, right? How do you make sure that you the let's say if you have, like, for instance, right now, your roofing company, right? If you were to be sued, that wouldn't be it wouldn't affect you, right? It you know there are ways to actually do that,
Yeah.
and yeah, and you were gonna say?
No, sorry. Yeah, I've got insurance for all that type of stuff. So there's public liability and professional indemnity insurance that you can get for these
Yeah.
sort of situations. Plus, like I give guarantees on all of my work. So
Mm.
if something goes wrong, so say like a flat roof, I'll guarantee 5 years. Say something goes wrong in 4 years, I'm tied down to making sure that that customer is happy. And you've got to
Yeah.
fulfill these things. You can't just turn around and take them to small claims court and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're providing a good service. So if you're providing a service, you've got to fulfill that service.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah. And also, you kind of took me a bit, but yeah, as I was actually mentioning, that also adding to what you've just said, um as my there are insurance, there is insurance, right? And also there are other ways, like, for instance, the like for instance, if you have a house, you have a company, you have cars, you have all of that, that anytime the government wants, those guys, they can take your business, they can take your cars, they can
Mhm.
take your houses, they can
Yeah.
literally take anything they want.
Yeah.
So now he was actually saying that there is a way that the wealthy actually use, right? Which is they they have trust, right? There is a trust that they have holding companies, and of which now the the properties, the houses, the cars, and all of that, that isn't under your name, right? It's under the trust, right? And then the let's say you have about three trusts, right? And
Yeah.
then yeah, and then the holding company handles those trusts, right? And then there is another let me just say it's a holding, right, that actually also um has control over the holding company, right? That way, and these things, these companies or these ways, they won't be in one place, right? Like, for instance, um the other one might be in, let's say it's in the Maldives, right? And then the other one, it would be in another place. That way, if there is a lot of like for instance, if there's a lot of jurisdiction, right? Um, they there's a lot of paperwork which they wouldn't be willing to go into, right? Because first of all, that would be impossible, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah, so there are those kinds of ways just to try and ensure that even if the government wanted to take anything that you have, you know, you are prepared for that. Because in I have even myself, I have this strong belief that sometimes, as much as you might pay for expensive, let's say if you have expensive lawyers and stuff like that, but now if they were if they had to face the government, right? Now the tables would be turned, you know. So he was actually sharing that with me, and now that it's a bit advanced, you know, but but those are things that I want to learn about, you know,
Hmm.
because
Yeah, me
yeah,
too. Me too.
you know, because it will come to that time whereby, let's say, anything could happen, and your cars could be taken, your houses could be taken, and now imagine you having to work so hard to build something for your family, and now there's someone that can actually come and then they can take that away from you, you know. You
Yeah.
wouldn't, you would, you were gonna say?
No, no, no. Carry on. Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's ways and means of protecting your money, especially going offshore and stuff. I
Exactly.
feel I feel myself that's pretty big game for me. I mean, I'm still a small roofing company, so all of my
Yeah,
stuff, a lot of my stuff is on finance and things like that. So if I do get in debt and the government wants to take it, they can't really because I'm still tied into an agreement, and technically I don't own that. But I mean,
hmm,
if you're going to put your money in trusts and everything like that, I mean, you're entrusting it to that one person. So if they try and take it, technically it doesn't belong to you. You can drive around in
yeah,
flash cars. You can drive around in whatever you want. You can make as much business as you
exactly,
want, and no one
exactly.
can touch you. You're basically invincible because they don't want to go through the international borders and try and get money out of a different country.
Exactly, you know. So there are those ways to try and make sure that you actually insure yourself, you know. And
Mm.
and you know, the more your businesses grow, the more you need to actually look at those kinds of things, you know. And even when you think of, let's say, buying properties, those are things that will come up in your mind, you know, because you don't know when that time could actually come, you know. And as 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 men, me and you right now, right? I'm pretty sure in everything that you are trying to do, you are trying to ensure that if anything were to happen, you want to leave your children, right? And your wife also secured, right? And there are ways to actually make sure of that, you know. So I was actually adding to what we were actually discussing, you know, just
Yeah, I
to actually
appreciate that. I think that's another conversation for another time. When I start making money, I'm going to call you because it sounds like you know a lot more than I do, mate. In
yeah,
this
man.
respect.
Yeah, I try to actually to be, you know, at that point, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah, but yeah, man. Now I'm just looking at the time right now, you know, and the we actually set it for about 2 hours and a half, you know.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so um now just to ask you, I will ask you, let's say, about two questions, you know, and after those questions, then we will close the you know, I'll have to
Mhm.
close up yeah. Now the first question is, what would you tell yourself in your early, let's say, in your early 20s? Actually, how old are you right now?
I'm 29.
You still there, but let's say in what question would, or actually what would you tell yourself, let's say your 18-year-old self?
Um, I don't know. Stop smoking so much, and and yeah, start a business sooner. Start a business a hell of a lot sooner, and get an accountant. Get an accountant, make sure she's managing my money properly, because then I probably have a very nice car outside, but I don't. So
Mm. You know, you know, from us having this conversation, you know, what one thing I've learned is that, hey, uh, if you had the opportunity to grab those guys that are handling Texas, you know, the something else would happen, man. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the tax man. I don't like the tax man. If he was an actual man, I don't know. He'd probably have a couple of black eyes.
I can actually tell, man. You know, he would rough those guys up because I can literally hear every time the Texas. It's like if we had the opportunity, hey, you would rough them up real good, man. You
Well,
know,
you know what I mean? You give the money away and it's just giving it away. I mean, you think it's going to the economy, but it doesn't. You never know, man. You never know, my friend.
another reason why I try to be well informed, you know, because
Mm.
because like for instance, you know now we actually, but yeah, like for instance, um, you were saying that you used to pay about 40%, right, of taxes, you know. Now imagine if you had means to make sure that that money actually goes offshore, you know, probably by now, you know, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be at that specific point, you know.
No, no. I
Yeah.
mean, the thing is, mate. I mean, you know, when I start work in the morning, I start working 6 in the morning. I finish
Mm.
at I finish at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm always looking around. Where was the government? Where he wants that 40%? Where was he? He didn't work. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. And now, worst of all, when you have to actually pay taxes, and then when you walk outside, especially in the UK, you know, because most of my friends, they actually mentioned that in the UK, it's one of the most um dangerous places, you know, in terms of, there are things that you can wear when you are working around in the UK, especially in London, you know. There are certain things that you can wear, there are certain things that you can't wear, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance,
Yeah.
yeah, like for instance, you can't, let's say you can't wear, let's say, oh, okay, you can't carry, let's say, a Rolex or something like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it's the same in South Africa, though. I mean, it all
yeah,
depends on where you go, and you know,
yeah,
it's
but
like that everywhere in the countries, man. I mean, the thing
yeah,
what you want to watch out for in the UK, mate, is the weather. It rains all the time. It's always rainy and it's always horrible, man.
all the weather's the worst.
Oh, it's terrible, man. I miss South Africa, mate. I miss the hot sun all the time.
Hey, bro. And you know, we can't really complain about the rain that much, you know, because what we normally get, it's the sun more than anything, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, but here in South Africa, you know, from having to actually look at things, I think Cape Town is one of the safest places, you know. It's
It
one
all
of the safe.
depends. It all depends on what you mean safe. I mean, the thing is, I mean, what I know about South Africa, we had the best time. It was the best time of my life. You know, I moved to the
Mm,
UK and everything is, you know, there's 13-year-old girls walking around at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and they're fine. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it all just depends on the circumstances and where you are. You know,
yeah,
but
that's true.
are you still getting loads of load shedding down there?
At least now, actually, I think it was, when was it? It was on Thursday. I don't know if that was load shedding or what was happening, but it just went out, you know.
Mhm.
Probably it was load shedding or probably it wasn't. But since we are about to vote, you know, since you're saying that, since you've had since you've stayed in South Africa, I'm sure you also have noticed when it is that time to actually vote, uh, everybody starts cleaning up things, you know. You know, they start to actually walk, and I'm sure even that side, it's like that, you
It
know.
is,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so now that we're about to vote, uh they're trying to provide the best service, you know. But we do know that when it ends, we're gonna go back to step one, you know. We're gonna go
I hope
back.
not, man. Hey, listen, man.
Yeah,
Listen, it's the same in the UK. It's like it all just depends, man. We just need the right people in power because I mean, there's all this war that's going on in Ukraine, in Israel,
exactly,
and all this stuff. I mean, we don't know. Everything's just a bit uncertain, man. I mean, what happened to love and peace? I don't
Ex-
understand it.
exactly, man. You know, and you know, um, that that kind of discussion, you know, it's something that I think we have to actually discuss, you know,
Yeah,
because it's really it's sad to actually see what is actually happening, you know, and and the more you look into it, the the more you start to see um why what is happening, you know, and there is a reason behind that, you know,
yeah,
and it's not exact, you know, it as much as there's a proper propaganda that keeps on being pushed, but what is being pushed to us, it's not exactly what is actually happening really, you know. It's
yeah.
just a matter of having to make this, you know.
Well, yeah, it's the world we live in nowadays, man. Politicians, they get the most. So,
Exactly, man, you know.
and it's still in the UK, man. But bloody hell. I think it's a conversation for another time, my friend.
Exactly, and especially the off camera, bro, because those kinds of conversations are conversations that you know.
Yeah, there's
But
always two sides. Yeah, there's always two sides.
yeah, yeah, and also now the last question that I have to ask you, right? Um, what would you tell the entrepreneurs uh that want to actually grow, that are still stuck, you know, in the same place? Probably, let's say they're thinking of quitting or something like that.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person?
Well, it all just depends. They took a risk in the first place. So when they took that risk, they got to know there's a risk to these things. So whether you're being successful or it's all going down the drain, what you got to make sure is if you want to do this and you want to put your heart into it, just keep fighting the good fight and make sure that you got your finances in check because all that money that's coming in, it needs to go in the right places. And if it's going into debt and it needs to go into all these other different places, you might not be doing the right thing. So get some advice, get some knowledge behind you, and just keep powering on because if you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
Okay. Thank you very much, man. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Simone.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And then also, guys, for everyone that has made it so this far, I really hope that you guys you got a value from what me and Chad spoke about. You know, um, Chad has dropped a lot of value, guys, in this podcast. You know,
Appreciate it.
and I have to thank you for that, man. You know,
No, it's been a pleasure,
mm,
mate. It's been honestly, it's been a pleasure, mate. It's
same
good to
here,
meet
bro.
you, mate.
Same here, bro. And I hope, man, we keep on um we keep on being in contact, man. You know,
I'll tell
um,
you what, if you want to do another podcast in a year or two, give me a shout. I'm happy to do it. And then we can see
no,
how my business is going then.
and it would be a pleasure, man. And also, people would see the growth, you know. So definitely, definitely, it's something
Sounds
that
good.
we can do, man. You know,
Yeah,
and
nice.
also, yeah, and also, for the people that are listening to this, if you guys have any questions, please do make sure that you comment. You know, from wherever you are listening to this, please do comment. You know, and do ask questions that you have. And also, if they want to get a hold of you, Chad, how can they actually do that?
Check me out on Facebook. Check me out. Go on Google. You can find me. It's LNC Roofing, and we're based in Southampton. So, but yeah, feel free to comment on Simonye's comments and everything. I'll ask him for the link when we leave. And yeah, if I can answer any questions, I'll be more than happy to.
Thank you, man.